Hi guys. So you might notice I look a little different, and it's because I'm not a stick figure. Wow. Which I guess could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on the way you look at it. I just got too lazy to animate like a 6 or 7, however long this video is. I didn't feel like animating it, so I'm using a VTuber. And so well, not if I do, when I do any future videos, this is probably the way I'm gonna do it if it's gonna be a long one. But from this first VTubing video. I came upon a pretty interesting topic. So I've been seeing a lot of 3D Saul Goodman memes, which they're pretty funny, not gonna lie. And I've also been on a bit of a Hamilton kick lately. So I noticed they're both lawyers. So I thought, huh, I wonder which one's the better lawyer. And that's exactly what I'm going to be trying to answer today. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on either Breaking Bad or Saul Goodman or Better Call Saul or Hamilton or any of these topics. I'm not an expert. You know, I have like wiki Google level familiarity with Saul in the Breaking Bad series, and I've seen the Hamilton musical and read about him in school, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not an expert, so just keep that in mind. I'm probably going to get a few things wrong. But with that out of the way, let's start with Saul, because I don't want to say he's more interesting, but he's got quite a bit to unpack. So, Saul Goodman, aka, um, what's his last name? Yeah, Jimmy McGill. Yeah. So, he is actually a con man, scammer, whatever you want to call him. And so, eventually, he decides to become a lawyer. He starts out as a public defender, but then eventually specializes in criminal defense, you know, because he's had expertise in that kind of area because he used to be a criminal. So, because of his scamming history in his past, he's actually able to use some like unorthodox tactics in the courtroom. Like he takes his client, right, and he swaps his client out for a look-alike to prove that eyewitness testimony isn't really reliable. And he does have a good point there. Eyewitness testimony is not always the most reliable thing in the world. Your brain can mess things up sometimes. So that was pretty interesting and pretty funny. And also, he planted a battery in his brother's like coat pocket because his brother claimed to have some electromagnetic disease, and the battery would have triggered that, but it didn't, which meant he was lying about it. So that was a pretty big brain tactic, if you ask me. So, and some of the things that Saul has to deal with is pretty crazy. Like they deal stuff with like fraud and embezzlement, and especially in Breaking Bad, illicit substances for sure. And like some of the stuff that he like gets people's like releases, or he get custom like deals and all that kind of stuff. Like it's pretty crazy. He's able to get really good deals for the things people are getting accused of, like that kind of level thing, which just shows his legal prowess and like his abilities as a lawyer. Though he does engage in some shady and illegal things like uh, um, money laundering. Yeah, that's what it's called. He launders money, which that's not shady. That's illegal. Like that is actually legitimately illegal. So that's not great. You know, but that's pretty. And also, oh yeah, he also tampers with evidence on a few occasions, which that's pretty bad. And it almost gets him disbarred actually, which is like losing your lawyer license. So yeah, Saul is not exactly the cleanest human in the world. He's a good lawyer, but he's not a good lawyer. Like you get what I'm saying? Like he's not morally good at all, or legally good for that matter. He's committing crimes. But anyways, that's pretty much it for Saul. Let's see how Hamilton stacks up next to him. So Hamilton is a lot of things. You know, Washington's right-hand man, a Revolutionary War hero, founder of the National Bank, all this different stuff. But all that really matters to me right now is that he's a lawyer, and a pretty good one if history's anything to go by, which I would hope it would be. He was more of a civil lawyer, though from time to time he would take on criminal cases. One such being the very first murder trial ever in the history of the United States, called People v. Levy Weeks. Now, this particular case, it was a man named Levy Weeks, obviously, and he was accused of killing a woman named Elma Sands. They found her body in one of Burr's, I think it was Manhattan Company wells, if I'm not mistaken. And so, but Levy Weeks actually had, I think it was an older brother or some other relative of his that was actually more of like rich or like had a higher social status. So he was able to get three really good lawyers. It was Henry Livingston, I believe, which I had never heard that name before researching. I'm going to be honest, but the next two I definitely did hear. Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton himself. And together, with their powers combined, they were able to prove Levy Weeks not guilty and get a not guilty verdict from the jury, which is great if he was the one that didn't do it, like, assuming that he wasn't the one to do it. And they even, like, speculated and theorized that Elma actually wasn't murdered at all. She unalived herself. She was not interested in pursuing the life career anymore, which, kind of sucks. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, and I'm not about to break out the Ouija board to ask her, but, so. And, getting someone out of murder charges is pretty impressive, so that shows how good of a lawyer Hamilton was. Um, so, like with Saul Goodman, he also does have a few issues, like any human, I should say, because everyone is not perfect. So yeah, if you know anything about Hamilton, you know what happened with the Reynolds pamphlet, where he was accused of being in cahoots with James Reynolds and embezzling money from the government, speculation and all that kind of stuff. And in order to clear his name and the charges, he released the Reynolds pamphlet, which, while it did clear his name, it also revealed that he was having an affair with James Reynolds' wife, which that's not a great look, obviously, if that wasn't apparent. But he did what he had to do and he got his name cleared. So at least he told the truth about it, which is always good. Um, and then there was some more. Depending on the way you look at it, you could consider the way that he did like the quid pro quos with Jefferson and Madison in order to get his plans through Congress in exchange for the location of the Capitol. You could look at those as a little shady, but I mean, that's really nothing compared to Mariah Reynolds, the Reynolds ordeal and all that kind of stuff. But um, comparing the two, they're actually pretty equal, surprisingly. Like, it was really hard to make a choice. Saul is a very good and very charismatic lawyer, and he's gotten his clients out of some deep, potentially deep trouble. And Hamilton's not too bad either. Like he once, I think it was at a constitutional convention, he went on for like 6 hours. Like man, that is crazy. He is nonstop stamina, like crazy to my guy. Seriously, take a break. But so because of Saul committing these crimes of money laundering and tampering with evidence, you wouldn't really think that you would want that guy as a lawyer, right? Like you'd be like, oh man, this guy committed crimes. I would not like him as a lawyer because that would make me look bad too, right? And it's like, well, yeah, you would think that Hamilton would be the obvious choice then, right? But you're wrong, at least in my opinion. And here's why. So, because like Saul did commit all these crimes, right? But it doesn't really matter to you. Like it's not like the lawyer's crimes are also going to be tacked onto your sentence if you were given one. Like like Saul would get arrested and all that. Like it wouldn't matter to you, you know all that. It would. Wow, I'm just having the time of my life here. But yeah, it wouldn't really matter to you, is what I'm trying to say. So, um, but with Hamilton, I feel like he would try to tell the truth, honestly. Like, so if the charges were actually true, I don't think Hamilton would be a very good choice to represent me because he would be more about like telling the truth, if anything, truth and justice and all this kind of stuff. So I wouldn't want Hamilton representing me if the charges were true. If they were false, then yeah, probably I would get Hamilton. But assuming the charges are true and you need someone to defend you, who you gonna call? And it's not Ghostbusters. You would call Saul, definitely. I would 100% call Saul because he doesn't care if the charges are true or if they're false. As long as he gets his money, he's going to defend you to the best of his ability. Like he says, I think it's something like he's the best legal defense that money can buy. So, hey, he's telling the truth on what he is, I would go with Saul, definitely, which is why I think Saul is definitely a better choice for a lawyer than Hamilton would be, which is actually not what I expected. I expected Hamilton to be the one on top, but it's the shady business guy that wins. Hey, what do you know? But yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Um, so if you like the video, well, I mean, if you enjoyed the video, you should like it and subscribe. And also show your friends, show other people, spread the word, help the channel grow. Because I'd really like to have a really nice little channel here going. And if you have any ideas for content, please post it. It would really give me more motivation and more ideas for doing content so I could post more of it more often. Because I really want to. It's just I struggle to find ideas sometimes. Like, this is like a really good idea. If I posted every idea that I had as content, like, it would not be very good, you know? And I'm very much a quality, to the best I can, over quantity. Not really the other way around. So, but I really hope you enjoyed. Like I said, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Even if only like one person sees this, I still appreciate you taking a look at it, taking time out of your day to watch this. It means a lot to me. And so that's all from me. I hope you have a lovely rest of the day. Bye bye.